오케이, 오케이. Hello, everyone. I hope that you all can hear me very clearly. Thank you so much for waiting for us to start the webinar, and thank you so much for joining us today. Today's webinar, as you all know, is on spousal sponsorship, and we'll be talking about the following topics. We shall be talking about the process, who can be a sponsor, who is eligible to be sponsored, family laws behind spousal applications, the key documents and forms needed, conjugal relationships and common law, how to actually organize a file, and we will reveal the most important factors in submitting a successful spousal application. Please wait till the end of the webinar as we will have a question and answer session where we will be answering your questions. So without any further ado, let us call our co-host, Mr. Nabil Khan.
Good evening, Stacy. How are you?
Hello, I'm good, Nabil. How are you doing?
Very well. Thank you. I hope you can see me and hear me clearly.
Yes, very clearly. Viewers, I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Mr. Nabil Khan, who is not only a regulated Canadian immigration consultant, but he is also the vice president and co-founder of North Vista Immigration Consultants, Inc. Thank you so much for joining us today, Nabil. We have a lot to learn from you today. So thank you for taking out the time to do this.
You're welcome, Stacy. And yes, I'm here to guide our viewers, what's the best way forward. Because again, spousal, whenever the name comes up, spousal sponsorship, it looks easy, but in reality, it is no doubt a very complicated and tricky application. Every case has its unique complexity, has its uniqueness to each case, and that has to be taken care of before submitting that application.
Very true, Nabil. Thank you for letting us know. And to all our viewers, let us start with the webinar. So you all may not know that the federal government announced that it would speed up the processing of spousal sponsorship applications. To this end, IRCC increased staff responsible for spousal sponsorships only by 66%, seeking to process and finalize at least 6,000 applications every month. So my first question to you, Nabil, is, in short, what is spousal sponsorship? A lot of people get confused with the term and they get confused with different sponsorships. So could you just tell us in short, what exactly is a spousal sponsorship?
Spousal sponsorship is a part of family class sponsorship. Under this sponsorship, it is basically spousal sponsorship means, as from the name, is for your spouses. It could be again, we'll go into detail what comes under spouses, but again, spousal sponsorship is one of the main streams under the family class. And a family class is again one of the most important Canadian immigration stream under the Canadian immigration. So this is how it works out.
Okay, perfect. Good to know. That is very clear.
Yes.
Now, before we dwell into what actually the process is, Nabil, if an individual is outside Canada, do you think that they can still apply for spousal sponsorship? Is there a different way?
Yes. So again, we're going to discuss these things in detail today. So let's say, first of all, the person, let me just brief my viewers over here. The person who is applying for the permanent residence is known as an applicant or a principal applicant. This is very important because a lot of people confuse. They don't understand what an applicant or principal applicant is. So a principal applicant or an applicant is the one who is applying for the PR, permanent residence, under the spousal sponsorship or the family class. And secondly, the sponsor is the Canadian permanent resident or a Canadian citizen who is inside or outside Canada. So that again, we are going to discuss in detail how it works out. But again, in short, a Canadian permanent resident or a citizen who has married an individual who is not a permanent resident can be inside and outside both. So how it goes is that Canadian citizen or permanent resident can sponsor someone who is not in Canada. That is known as spousal sponsorship outside Canada. And along with it, there's some other second stream. A Canadian citizen or a permanent resident can sponsor someone who is already inside Canada. That is known as spousal sponsorship inside Canada.
Okay. Okay, that is also very clear. Perfect. So in brief, if we were to start with the process of spousal sponsorship, what is the first thing that someone should keep in mind? How do we start the process of the spousal sponsorship?
Okay, so the first and the foremost is the for us as a reputed consultancy is the genuineness of the relationship. I mean, we have to, before we take any case, before we take up any case, we have to find out whether the relationship is genuine or not. This is the most important factor before taking up on any case. Okay, the relationships can have, as long as the relationship is genuine. Okay, it can have, as I said, every case has its own uniqueness, has its own complexity. So okay, so as long as that can be taken care of. However, as long as this, we know that the marriage is genuine or the relationship is genuine, the rest can be taken care of. So for us as a consultant, the most important is to ensure that the clients that we're taking have a genuine relationship.
That's good to know. But just a side question, do you all get cases where you all feel like the relationship is not genuine and then you all have to go and find out the true complexity of it?
Again, this is where the disclosure comes in. The initial consultation meeting takes its essence, the importance of the initial consultation meeting. Sorry, we are just setting up the camera a little bit. Yes, I hope it's okay now. Yeah,
that's fine.
So this is where the initial consultation meeting and the disclosure comes in. Where we take the initial consultation meeting, we have a set of questions where we need to ask that how it works out, the relationship, to ensure at our end with our experience that the relationship is genuine, and we can work on it. So because for a consultant, it is important to take care of a reputation, that we take on only genuine cases.
Okay, perfect. Now, a question that often arises is about who can be a sponsor. So can anyone staying in Canada be a sponsor? Say if a student completes education and they are on a work permit, do you think they could be a sponsor, or is there a certain criteria?
That's a very good question, Stacey. No, the example that you given, a student who is on a work permit cannot be a sponsor. I mean, for a spousal sponsorship application, for a spousal sponsorship application, it has to be a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident. Number one. Okay, so it has to be either one of those, Canadian citizen or permanent residence. Number one. Number two, it has to be somebody who is 18 years or older. And number three, it has to be somebody who is qualified to be a sponsor, in the sense that they can show certain income, they can show certain proof that they are able to earn for themselves and their family going forward. And then obviously one thing that I don't want to emphasize more, but this is taken into consideration whether a sponsor is living in Canada or not. Although we have done cases where our sponsors were outside Canada at the time when we submitted their application, but that's a different stream where we can discuss later on in detail how it goes. But generally how it goes is that it is a understood fact that a sponsor is inside to Canada at the time of application.
Okay, and I just wanted to pick up on something that you mentioned earlier, like just to get into the details of it right now. If a sponsor is in Canada, can they sponsor someone who is outside Canada? Or does the applicant have to be in Canada? How does it go?
No, this is where I told you before we started, the spousal sponsorship application inside Canada or the spousal sponsorship application outside Canada. Okay, so the outside Canada means that okay, so the ideal scenario is that the spousal sponsorship outside Canada means that the sponsor, okay, who is a Canadian citizen and a permanent resident or a permanent residence is inside Canada, and the applicant who wants to become a permanent resident is outside Canada. So this is one example. And second example is that both of them are inside Canada. So this is, again, there are two different streams,
Okay, all right. And what if an applicant has a baby born during the process of the application? What happens then?
Yes, that's again a very good question. We have had a few of these examples. So we are going to discuss this in detail again. You please remember to take up this question again. This is again doable. I mean, in short, I will just at this moment in time, I'll say this is doable, and then we'll discuss this in detail. This is very well. This can be very well managed. No problem.
Okay, perfect. Because let's see what else when it comes to babies being born. Another important question is before we get into the other aspects of spousal sponsorship,
Yes.
is a lot of people have heard about common law and conjugal relationships, and often these two are looked at the same way. People think that common law and conjugal are the same thing. Would you be able to tell our viewers the difference between these two and what are the application processes for both of them?
Yes, yes. Okay. So we are going to discuss this in detail. We're going forward right now in the seminar, webinar. The main thing is under common law. Common law is again very tricky. I mean, people have started taking common law. We get a lot of inquiries. We get a lot of. We've done a lot of common law as well applications. Common law under the spousal stream is one of the most trickiest applications available. One of the most trickiest application because to prove that a relationship, because in marriage what happens in the spousal is that you are married. You married by a legal bonding, which is recognized by the state. So the state could be Canadian state could be abroad, it could be Philippines, it could be India, it could be Mexico, it could be Europe, anywhere there. As long as the state recognizes that marriage, Canada will honor that. So if somebody is marrying a French citizen in France, okay, and they are taking, they've registered the marriage in their local city, that will work out, not a problem. Okay, but the issue is that in the common law, you have to cohabitate for at least 1 year. It's just not cohabitation together. It is a lot of documentation to prove that you are sincerely in a relationship. So, and that includes a lot of bills, a lot of information, a lot of other stuff, lease agreements. So, and again, I've got some cases where in the recent past, I've got some cases where people submitted their common law applications directly. Okay, and directly means that they did it themselves. And on those applications, although they did submit most of these documents, but they failed to prove that their relationship is genuine. So this is where the trickiest part comes in. Right. So although you have been living together, you have declared yourself, you have joined banks, you have other stuff, together. But at the end of the day, you failed to convince the officer that you have a genuine relationship. How's that?
That's
right.
true.
Right. So this is where we get a lot of clients who come back, and then they have wasted, let's say, in the whole scenario, 2 years, 2.5 years, and they come back to redo the whole thing. So then again, that's starting from the scratch again.
That's very true, Navi, because a lot of people think, like we say it repeatedly, that no two cases are the same.
Yes.
What people often do is they think their friends have done it, so they just refer to those documents. Do you all get cases where you all have an applicant who has just done it on their own because they've seen their friends doing it, and then they get a refusal? Has that happened?
That has happened multiple times. I mean that is so unfortunate. I mean, people don't understand the fact that they are playing with their lives. They're playing with permanent residency. This is not a study permit. It's not a work permit. This is not a post-graduation work permit. Those are temporary applications. Okay, that's okay. If you don't get through once, you'll get through second time. But doing a spousal application for a PR, putting your relationship at stake, because somebody is outside Canada and you are the sponsor is inside Canada, you already have a difference. You are there that person, the applicant is there, you are here, you've already not met each other for a few months, you only talk on the phone, that's it. And then there are so many other stuff, so this is where that is an issue, and people take it lightly, and then they come back to us that you do it application again. This is why I say that they lost that. Let's say they got married, they took a few months to submit the application, they waited 1.5 years to get the result, the decision turns out to be negative, and then they come back to us, we have to start a new application or go through an appeal. And then what happens is that again, even if you're doing an appeal takes about a year to come through, okay, or a year or more to come through. And if you're doing a new case, then the decision, again, the processing time is a year or more than that. So this is where you have to wait for it, and we go from there. So they have lost about, in totality, they could lose about 3 to 4 years for the applicant to become a permanent resident.
3 to 4 years is a massive amount of time when that part of your life is gone in just applications, getting refusals.
Yes.
So what advice would you like to give? Let's start with the process. Since you mentioned that the entire process is very complex and there's a lot of paperwork involved, can you tell us the nitty-gritties that go into the entire application? What is important for a spousal application?
Yes. Okay. So let's put it this way. The whole application, if we are to do the whole application in a proper manner, which we do, each application is about this thick. It has got a weight about 1.5 kilograms, about 3 pounds to 4 pounds. It's got a weight of the application because it's a paper application. And then there are about 10 to 15 forms. Okay, and we get a lot of applications, clients coming back who do it themselves. What happens is they do not realize that by the time they are submitting the application, let's say you are submitting the application tomorrow, you have completed the application today, the one of the forms changes, and the IRCC does not accept any application where the form is updated and you have not submitted a new form. So by the time they receive the application back, it is about 2.5 months. So they lose that time of 2.5 months over there, the precious time of 2.5 months over there because they did not understand the complexity of the forms. And then this is one aspect. Second aspect is they miss out on the forms. By the time they come back, the application comes, oh, we didn't submit one form. And the application came back because it was deemed incomplete. So you understand my points. This is where I mean, when you have so many forms, when you have so much information, when you have so many things coming up. So this is what happens when you and then most of these people are doing it for the first time in their lives, right? So it is not that they're doing it every day. And then I recently got a case where they had used the wrong version of the form. Their consulate, the one where it had to go, was not using did not recommend using this version of the form. There was another version of form. They used that version, and the application came back. How's that? Right. So this is where it is important we take care of this thing, and this is we do our due diligence. We do our best to submit the application at the right time, right moment. Make sure the application is not incomplete. Make sure that application does not come back after because it is incomplete from our end. So this is where it is very, very important that we take care of this thing.
That is very unfortunate because obviously, since you are an RCIC consultant, you would know when the applications change. Whereas people like us, when we are doing applications, we wouldn't know that. We just download something from the internet without realizing it's not updated, it's very old, and that's where the mistakes happen. So I think this is one of the reasons why it's very important to go and speak to an RCIC consultant and seek their help when, as you said, the application is this thick. There are so many papers involved. So that is one of the reasons why people should come and speak to us.
Let me tell you, a spousal application, I would like to tell all my viewers, a spousal application is a very overwhelming application. It is a lot of work. It is, believe you me, it has got a lot of work, lot of stuff, lot of angles to take care of, lot of aspects to consider, lot of situations to consider. It is not an easy application. So this is where believe you me, probably Northwest Immigration, we have done over, if I'm not wrong, over 500 spousal applications, something of sort. In the same ballpark figure, we have done the applications, and each and every, I mean, at any given time, we have got 10 to 15 applications, and we take care of each and every application very minutely, very microscopically, that we try to get them through to make sure that whatever the best we can do, we do it.
That is very good to know that there are consultants who take so much time out of their day to actually do the applications. So when we speak about the applications, Nabil, as you mentioned earlier, I think the terms are inland and outland applications.
Yes, that's correct.
As you were speaking about, is there anything else that you would like to tell us regarding those applications, and how do these differ from each other? Are the eligibility criteria the same, or are they different for both?
Okay, so let's put it this way. Inland application is as we do both on an equal basis. And the main difference between the two is that in an inland application, the applicant is inside Canada. Number one. Number two, the issue is the inland applicant takes slightly more time than the outland. Okay, but right now the outland is taking also more time because of the lot of pressure on the immigration department on spousal applications. However, the good part of the inland thing is that because you're an inland applicant, you can apply for an open work permit. The applicant can apply for an open work permit, and they are given a work permit of 2 years. Okay, and number one. Number two, what happens is that, however, when you're applying for outside applicant, and sorry, in inside applicant, one more thing is that if your application is rejected, is refused, you cannot apply for an appeal. So you'll have to reapply for a new application if your one application is refused. However, outside Canada applications, what it can happen is that you have the right to appeal. Appeal means that if your application is denied, you can go to Immigration Appeal Division, and within 30 days of your denial of applications, you file to an Immigration Appeal Division. They are willing to take up your case, and if your case is strong, it has got merits, the judge over there, the tribunal member, is, as it is called as, will give the favor in your will give the decision in your favor, and then you get something.
Okay, and many times in these applications, as we spoke earlier about children, are children involved in these? Like, are dependent children a part of these applications as well?
Yes, so there are again two types over here for dependent children. Number one could be that both the sponsor and the applicant have combined children or child, whatever that is from. This is one aspect, and second aspect is that the applicant could be inside Canada, outside Canada, wherever the applicant is. They could have children or child of their own from previous relationships. So those can be included as well under this application. Okay, so let's say if a couple got married, and during the processing of the application, they were blessed with a child. So that child is also attached to the mother's application, although we have to do a new application for that child, but it is the new application is done and submitted along with the mother's PR application. So the mother and the baby both get the PR when the mother is approved the PR then. And so, and in the previous case where I said, if the applicant has children from their previous marriage and they are in the custody of the applicant, okay, so they are can also be included in the application for PR then.
Okay, perfect. And is there a limit on the age for these children, dependent children?
Yes. A minor dependent child is considered under the age of 22. Yes.
Okay, under the age of 22.
Yes.
And
yes.
Is it the same if an applicant is pregnant, like I had asked you earlier? So is it necessary for them to declare that they are pregnant during the application, or is it
Yes.
okay later on as
Yes,
well?
so let's say if somebody got married and we started doing their application, so there could be and they got pregnant in the while processing of the application. So we update the immigration department that the applicant is pregnant and so is her due date. So and once the baby is born, then again we update the immigration department that the baby is born, and this is the baby's passport and then the ID card or identity document. And then thirdly, we have to do a new application for the baby. There's an application for dependent child, which is done, and as I said, is attached to the mother's PR application, and the mother is, and then the child will be given the permanent residence once the baby is was once the child will be given the PR along with the mother. Then.
Okay, perfect. That is a very good thing. And often at times with these applications, I've heard of this line called the length of undertaking. Is this something that is used with all applications, or is it something?
Where do you come up with all these questions? I mean, you you do your due diligence before coming to this. So Stacey, the length of undertaking means that the support, the financial support that the sponsor is authorized to, as per the immigration department, the sponsor is has to commit to for the applicant. So in case of a spouse or a common law partner or a conjugal partner, it is 3 years. So from the day the applicant becomes a permanent resident. So if the applicant becomes a permanent resident, say if the applicant became a permanent resident on 1st of May of 2020. Okay, so the sponsor is liable to take care of their financial condition, finances till 30th April 2023. So 3 years. Okay, so this is for the spouse, common law partner, or a conjugal partner. For dependent children, it is 10 years or up to the age of 22. So this is how it goes. So length of undertaking means it's a when you sign the forms. Most sponsors don't know this. When you sign the forms, you have to there's a specific form where you sign, the sponsor signs and says that I'm willing to support this person, and that's legal undertaking. So this is where the word is used, length of undertaking, that it's legal undertaking. You are binding yourself legally into contract with the immigration department that I will take care of this this applicant for 3 years once after they become the PR.
Perfect. Thank you so much for clearing that up. Like you said, like I did do some research on it, and as you mentioned, not a lot of people know what the length of undertaking is. Thank you so much for explaining that.
Yes, people don't understand. It's a legally binding contract with the government of Canada. That's the most important part. The sponsor has to understand this. So it's not a joke. It's a full legally binding contract. So they are signing out the forms and they are giving consent to the immigration department, and so there are a lot of stuff that is that has to be taken care of. Again, this is where the forms, understanding most people just sign the forms without seeing what the forms are. The forms have to be very carefully read, understood, and made sure that you understand the legal complexities of the Immigration Act and the regulations.
Of course, yes. And like we were speaking earlier about the applications being very extensive, very time consuming, overwhelming. Do you think due to this, that's one of the reasons why an application is refused? Do you think that because people sometimes get so overwhelmed with the application that they tend to make mistakes?
No doubt. I mean, I get clients who try doing it themselves. It's all a mess. I mean, we try not to take half-cooked cases. We try to we, as a company policy, we take cases usually from the scratch, and we organize them in a way which is the way our tested and tried methods. Because obviously we have been into this business for a long time, and our name with the immigration department speaks for itself. They know the immigration officers, the IRCC, they know when a case is being filed by North Vista, they know it has some merit to it. That it is a genuine relationship, and there is a way to file the application. The way is to make it easier for the officer to understand how this case has progressed, and what is the timeline of the relationship, and how the relationship has progressed, and what is how we can prove it, the genuineness of the relationship. So obviously, when there are 10 to 15 forms, and there are certain country specific forms that you have to fulfill, and then there are certain forms. I mean, I can give you an example. We had a client who had a criminality issue. Actually, a lot of clients, they don't declare it. Lot of client, by client means applicants. So this applicant is outside Canada. He had a criminality issue. Okay, he was, I cannot declare, I can go into detail how it went through. So we had to go through a rehabilitation procedure. So you understand how the case went from being a direct spousal sponsorship to a first rehabilitation case, and from rehabilitation of the applicant, then filing a spousal case, and then going through. So it took time. So there were 2 or 3 scopes of work that were involved there. So this is how you have to make sure that we ask the client any criminality, any misrepresentation. I had a client, she had a misrepresentation. But what is a misrepresentation? Misrepresentation means that you had declared to Canadian government earlier that something wrong, something false. So she was banned for 5 years. And then upon further going into depth of the case, we found out that that this was not true. There was a misunderstanding with another name, whatever. And so we had to take care of that. But in reality, there was another client who had a misrepresentation. We had to wait 5 years. And then there is a thing that who can sponsor that I think you I know you have done your due diligence. You'll ask me that question. Then I'll discuss that thing with you. Yes.
Yes, but as you spoke about the rehab case, although it was so complex, you'll never left the client at any moment. That you
no, obviously not. Obviously not. I mean, again, as I said, it's a different different scope of work. But yes, it can be done as long as there are certain parameters of the act and the regulations. As long as we know that the client meets these acts and the regulations, and we can help them overcome this criminality issue, and he can be rehabilitated, and he can get a CRP. That's a certificate for rehabilitation. So once he gets a CRP and we know we can do that, then why not? I mean, we can get the CRP first and then apply for a spousal sponsorship, PR. So this is how we help clients. I mean, so again, this is where we emphasize on having an initial consultation meeting, because an initial consultation meeting is kind of a disclosure. They come to us and we have questions. We have a lot of questions. I mean, I have a full set of questions, about 30 questions that I asked usually. And under those questions, then we go from there onwards.
Okay, that's very good to know. But sometimes, due to all the efforts, do you think that sometimes people tend to hold back, and maybe due to that also they get refused? Are there any other reasons for refusals of applicants for spousal sponsorships specifically?
There could be multiple reasons for you see, most of the cases that we do, they were refused. Okay, why? The relationship was genuine. They had children. It was just that the case was properly not submitted. They had missing forms. They had incomplete forms. They had missing information. As I said, the spousal application is too overwhelming. It is too overwhelming. It has got a lot of material to be taken care of, lot of angles to be considered, lot of complexities to be taken care of. There are different stages to take care of. So the thing is, and as a common man who is doing the application for the first time, they are already under the stress of relationship. We always use the word stress of a relationship because your partner or your common law partner or your spouse is back home. Let's say you came back already 2 months, you're trying to collect all the documents, and then you're trying to go through the document checklist. Oh, it says, oh, you need 20 documents, you need those 15 forms. Oh, and then when you print those forms, oh, we don't know who's the applicant, who's the sponsor, where to sign. There are about 20 places to sign. And then you're already under stress of relationship where the applicant doesn't know how difficult this application is, because the applicant is outside Canada. They are just excited to come to Canada as a PR. They're just excited. They just wanted that we submit tomorrow, and day after tomorrow we get the PR. No, that doesn't work that way. So that when you have the stress of a relationship, that is the biggest issue where this is the problem comes in, that you want to submit it, let it go through your head, and you will say, oh, I don't give a damn, I just want to submit it as it is. When you do that with that kind of attitude, for sure it's going to come back after 3 months saying either it's incomplete, or if let's say even if it's not incomplete, after 1 year maybe it could be refused. So this is where how you have to make sure that this is going to requires your utmost professional guidance to ensure that your application has chance of success.
So Nabil, I think it's time you told us the secret to creating a successful spousal sponsorship application. What are the main things that someone should keep in mind? Or as a consultant, what do you keep in mind when you create a really good application? What is the secret to this success? Because I know that the refusal rates are really high. Because a lot of people think that they can do it by themselves. So how do you think someone should actually file an application?
You see, I'll just give you about the refusal rate. I just have this thing in front of me. I think if I was believe in Toronto Star reported, a short while back, that the IRCC finalized 16,000 applications, close to 16,000 applications, and about close to 1,000 applications were refused. So if you're looking at 1,000 applications out of 16,000 being refused, this is close to 1,000. So you can understand that how complex the situation is. Okay, that the 1,000 applicants, 1,000 means that 1,000 people were denied the permanent residence. Okay, so this is a Toronto Star report that I'm looking at. So again, you see, a successful application is a mix of various aspects, various angles, and that, to be honest, comes with experience. I know a lot of new consultants. They also come to me with their cases that we submitted this application and it came back, because being a new consultant, they did not know that they had to look at all these aspects. So again, as I said, the first and foremost is for us is the genuineness of the relationship, how genuine the relationship is, and then what proof they have for the relationship. Some people I know, they bring me 200 pictures of the relationship, but sometimes pictures are not good enough. There's a lot of other stuff that we need. So a lot of other proof. So I had a client, he brought me probably 500 pictures. How can you tell me my relationship is not genuine? I said, no, it's not that your relationship is not genuine, but I need to present it to the officer. I said the officer will not see your picture and give you the PR. That's not the way it is. I mean, because we are only allowed to submit 20 pictures. I cannot submit 500 pictures. Right. So they were out there by, we have pictures for every occasion. Why can't they give us a PR? I said the PR is not based on pictures. It is different things, different information, the forms, and it takes time. I mean, they want information from the age. I get most of the people, they want address history, for example, from the age of 18. Most people don't remember where they lived since the age of 18. Oh, they have to call back their parents. They have to call back so and so. Oh, where did I live? What did I do? Where did I study? People forget. They don't remember. Somebody in their 50s or 40s, they don't remember where they lived the last 22 years, what they did, So then I always guide them there. Misrepresentation. You cannot falsify. I need genuine information. So this is where the case has to be taken care of.
That's very true. Nabil, if an applicant has all his papers in place, how long does a typical application take with submission and everything? Of course, now with the pandemic, I think the processing time has increased.
Yeah.
But on an average, earlier, how long does it take?
You see, again, I mean, in the past, we have been doing this since 2014. So 7 years we have been doing this. We had applications, spousal applications being approved in 3 months' time. And this is a record. This is outside Canada. I'm not saying inside Canada. Even inside Canada, usual time is always has been 2 years. Inside Canada, we had application approved in 6 months, which is very, very unique. But those were the days. Now the process and time, the Immigration Canada, IRCC has a huge backlog of spousal applications. There are applications we know since 2019 have been in place and there has not been any decision on them. So that is, the government is under pressure, but they are doing their best to take care of this thing. They are working very well. They have put in more efforts, more resources to go through these applications. But the fact remains that at our end, if we give you whole document checklist and an information sheet, and you give us all the right informations and the right documents, we need about 2 to 3 weeks to complete the application and submit the application. So what we do is we create the application. We ask you to review the information, the forms, everything. Then we ask you to come in to sign the application. And if the applicant is outside Canada, we need to get their pictures from there. There has to be certain specific pictures from there. They get the pictures, and they have to courier us the pictures, and sometimes they have to courier us some few original documents, which is the police clearance and other sometimes in certain country specific. I can tell you from Philippines, we need a lot of original documents. We do a lot of cases from Philippines, and we have to submit a lot of original documents. So they have specific documents that we need to take care of. So again, it's very country wise. We deal with spousals from all over the world. We have from the major sources, major countries of origin for Canada. We have done almost all of them, and we have with success. I mean, if you go through our Google reviews, you'll know how successful we have been. But this is how it works out.
Very true, Nabil. And as you mentioned about different countries having, you need a lot of paperwork from Philippines. So if an applicant comes to you and they have all their documents in another language, so is it their duty to change the language and give it to you in English, or does our office do it for them?
No, again, very good question. Yes, so this is known as translation. So the Government of Canada accepts translation, official language is English and French. They will accept all documents in English and French, and especially with people with people from France, Tunisia, Morocco, Algeria. They have documents in French that we don't need to worry about. Okay, but other than English and French, everything has to be translated through a certified translator, and we have the resources where we get that translated, and we help the client. We do everything. I mean, obviously there's a cost to it. We inform the client that so and so cost, so whatever the original cost of the translator is, the client paid directly to the translator, or we can pay it on their behalf and add it to our invoice. So, but it is we have all the resources. It could be any language. We have done same. I remember we have done cases from Bhutan, Nepal. We've done cases from Mexico, Brazil, you name it, Malayalam in India, and so many other. We have done cases. So that's not a problem. Not a problem at all.
Perfect. That's very good to know, as we have a lot of multicultural clients as well.
Yes.
And people from outside Canada. So viewers, if you all are from outside Canada or inside Canada, and if you all have documents that are not in English, please do not worry, as our office is always there to help you to translate them. As Mr. Nabil also mentioned, you don't always have to do it by yourself. For just a little extra cost, you all can just get it translated by us. So you all needn't be worried about the translation of documents.
I will just give you an example. Recently, one of our clients, she needed help from Japan. She had to get a divorce certificate from Japan. Our office helped them get a divorce certificate from Japan. And then there was another client, she needed help from Singapore. We helped them get from Singapore. So, we go as far as Japan, Singapore. So we all around the world. So this is Australia. We've done cases from Australia as well. So, I mean, you name it. We are there. We have been there virtually, to help our clients from all over the world.
Perfect. That's very good to know. So, Nabil, let's now look at some frequently asked questions that our viewers also can know what other clients have been asking us.
Okay. Okay.
So, getting into the questions, of course, the first and foremost is what if my application gets refused? What if they have done it from another consultant or if they've done it by themselves? Can they come to our office and can we help them once they get a refusal?
Definitely. Definitely. You see, this is where I've told you earlier that we get a lot of clients, whether they have done the application themselves, whether they have done it through another consultant, whether they have done it through a consultant back home, okay, whether they have done it through a friend, whatever the reason is. If it is an issue, if the application has been rejected, let's hope so not. But if the application is um, if the application is deemed incomplete, okay, if the application, so this is where we definitely help the clients very sincerely to understand what happened and how it goes through. We had a client, I remember, their case was refused twice. We did an appeal for them. Our president, Mr. Alex Romano, he worked very hard on the client. They were married for over 5 years, genuine relationship. They had done it twice through other consultants. It didn't go through. We chose the option of an appeal. Mr. Alex Romano, he worked on the appeal, and I remember it was and because of the COVID, the Immigration Appeal Division, they weren't taking any appeals physically. So this appeal was done, and it was one of the first days where the appeals were being done virtually. So Mr. Alex headed the appeal, and it was a whole day appeal. It started at 8:47 a.m. and it finished around 3:30. The decision was tendered at 3:30, and it was a positive decision. So it was, and the clients were crying with success, because of success. I mean, because of this thing. And if I'm not wrong, that gentleman is here in Canada as a PR now already. So this is how we help clients go through appeals, rehabilitation. So it's not the end of the world. But again, let's try not to go there. We try to submit an appeal, submit the application in a very thorough way. We take care of everything to the best of our ability, because again, we are limited to the information provided by the applicants. Some applicants are unable to provide the information, they don't want to provide the information. As I said, common law. We had a common law case where the applicant or the sponsor, due to any reason we don't know, were unable to provide us a lot of documents, which we usually require to prove a common law case. And so we had to we informed them time and again that this is what is required. You have met maybe 50% of the requirement, 60% of the requirement, 70% of the requirement. Your chances of approval are so and so we kept them abreast, and then they let us know that this is the best we can do. If you please submit the case with these documents. So we had them give us a consent to submit the case with the documents and information they have provided. So, I mean, our job is to go out of the way to help our clients, but sometimes it is what it is. I mean, we are unable to do because of the resources that we've been provided with.
Thank you so much for sharing that story. That is really very nice what you all did for that applicant. Of course, you all went above and beyond just to help that applicant. And due to your hard work, that applicant is now in Canada and has a PR. That's really very nice.
Yes. As I told you, over a period of time, we have probably 500 or more spousal cases that we have done. At any given time, we have between 10 to 15 cases. And it's some people ask me that we must be very busy. I said, no, we have the resources, and we ensure that each case is taken care of very minutely with details. And our clients will tell you that when they come to our office, and when the case is presented to them, it may have a little bit one or two typo mistakes here and there, but 99.9% it is on the dot. We try to make it perfect. again, based on the information that is provided to us. Okay, so if you tell me that you have been to so and so country from so and so travel date, so obviously I will put that travel date. Okay, I cannot, if it's an old passport, I cannot verify it, but whatever you told us, we try to do that. Okay, so this is how we try to overcome it, because again, our efficiency of doing cases is that we submit one case and it doesn't come back to us, right? This is what, and it saves our time, it saves our clients time, it saves our future. I tell most of my clients, I said 1-2 days delay doesn't helps you save 3 months of frustration. After 3 months, if the case is returned, then you have to submit again, all that stuff, so might as well you take 1 to 2 days more, review it. There are multiple cases where usually me and Alex, they worked in tandem. He would review it, I would review it, then I would send it back to him to review it, and he would send it back to me to review it, because we just want to make sure that 2 sets of eyes is better than 1 set of eyes.
That's very true, actually. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Another question that applicants often ask is, does declaring a pregnancy benefit them? Does it actually benefit an application in any way?
Yes, definitely, because that shows the genuineness of your relationship. That if, let's say, if the applicant is female and she's pregnant and she's outside Canada, and so that's why once we immediately tell our clients that immediately, if you have that good news, share with us so that we can share with the immigration department, because normally if at the time of application filing you're already pregnant, then on the form it asks you for the due date. So we tell them, okay, the applicant is pregnant and the expected due date is so and so. So on the form we mention it. So in case if the pregnancy took place after after we have submitted the application, then definitely we submit it, and we inform the immigration at all 3 stages. 1 at the time of pregnancy, second at the time of birth, and third when we submit an application for the dependent child.
Okay, perfect. That is very good to know. Now, as we spoke about the processing time in applications, there are a lot of delays. Is there anything that can be done to expedite a case, or it's all standard?
Again, the best way to expedite any case is to submit a thorough and complete case. So it is one-time submission, so that they don't ask you for more documents. They don't ask you for more information. Obviously, they would ask you for medicals, for which they would send a medical request form. And once that form is received, then the applicant has to go and get the medical done. In some cases, if the applicant is pregnant, they cannot go and get the medical done, because the medical requires an X-ray, and during pregnancy you cannot get an X-ray done. So you have to wait for the delivery, and after delivery you can get it. So this is how we have to go forward from there.
Perfect. That's very good to know. Now, Nabil, I have some situations. There are just a couple of situations, and I just wanted to know what you think about it or what can be done. They're not very favorable, but let me just start with the first one. What can be done if an application is returned? Do applications get returned, or are they upfrontly refused?
You see, again, there are 2 different things: the return due to incomplete, or return due to use of outdated forms, or return due to missing very important document. So there are 3 different circumstances where the application is returned. So usually, if an application refusal does not happen that early, but if an application is returned, it happens about within 3 months, 3 to 4 months of the application submission. So this is what happens with the application return. A decision usually could take at least a year to come, or usually under current circumstances, it could take about a year to come.
Okay, and are there circumstances where applicants get called for an in-person interview? Does everybody get a call for this interview, or just few people are picked for this?
No. I can tell you, in the last 5 years, probably 1 or 2 applicants have been called for interview from the application that we submitted. So that is because we submit a thorough and complete application. 99.5% chance is that when we submit application, we will not get an interview call, but sometimes they do, because of there could be any reason. because of just to see who the applicant is. The officer can just see who the applicant is. I had an interview for an applicant, and literally that was 5 minutes. The officer just wanted to see the applicant, who the applicant is, and that is it. The applicant walked in. What's your name? Where do you live? What's your husband's name? Where does your husband live? And is your husband a PR or a Canadian citizen? She answered all those questions, and she said, "Okay, thank you. I'm granting you the PR." Boom. So this is how it
Wow.
went. So this is again in-person interviews. Sometimes I get clients from other consultants. I get clients from who have done it themselves, and they say that we are called for an in-person interview because, again, usually the reason is the officer is not convinced that their relationship is genuine. So this is why the interview comes in, that if the relationship is not genuine, then that's an issue.
Okay, so is it actually a cause for worry, or you think in some cases it's just like
again,
you mentioned, 5 minutes?
Again, it depends on case to case. How have you submitted the case? What was submitted with the case? What information did you give? Sometimes some people they try to give extra information to the officer. That can also lead to problems. So it all depends on case to case, on the complexity of the case then.
Very true. Okay, and another thing is, if an applicant receives a procedural fairness letter,
okay,
what does this mean if a spousal application receives it, and what exactly is this letter actually?
Okay, procedural fairness letter is usually something about they ask for more information. So an officer has the right to ask for more information or to clarify some information. So that is again received in instances or in cases where the officer is not convinced that the information you have given is enough, or they need some clarification on some information. So this is how a procedural fairness letter works, that the officer will give you a chance to clarify that your the officer's query and provide you with the information.
Okay, and as we spoke a couple of times about genuineness of the relationship, you mentioned it many times that this is something that is very important when it comes to a spousal application. I asked you earlier if everyone has to prove the genuineness of a relationship. What are the documents, if you could just tell us in general, do they ask for like a marriage certificate, a telephone bill, like what do they ask? And is there a ban if you cannot prove your genuineness of the relationship?
No, you see, it cannot, there's actually no ban but again, that is the genuineness of the relationship is the essence of a spousal application. You see that you married, that the couple has married because they are in a genuine relationship. We have done tons of applications which were arranged marriages, which is very common, from Asia. There were arranged marriages. There are still many arranged marriages that we are still working on cases, and all of them have been approved because they were genuine relationships. So arranged marriage is not a taboo. There's not a problem as long as it is clearly identified to the officer that this is how it is, and they're looking forward. Okay, we have handled marriages where they were interreligious marriages. And they were all very successful. We have handled marriages where they were from totally two different countries, no culture, no same backgrounds, nothing of the sort, but they were into a relationship. So as long as the relationship is genuine, this is again where we have to ascertain how the relationship is. I cannot give examples because of the privacy matters, but as long as the relationship is genuine, we have to. This is where my job and Alex's jobs comes in. That we have to ensure that the relationship was for the sake of relationship, not for the sake of permanent residence. And if the scenario is where we see that the relationship was for the sake of permanent residence to come to Canada, that the legal term is known as marriage of convenience.
Okay.
Yes. So we ensure that the case that we are taking is not a marriage of convenience.
Okay. All right. And because of this, sometimes you said applications are returned. So are very small details also important? For example, say if I was putting forward an application and for example, if I've not put the right dates, or if I've mixed up the principal applicant and the sponsor. That's another question that I had actually. Are these two terms the same, a principal applicant and sponsor, or
I
are
would
they
repeat, like to
different?
repeat, I will like to repeat it. Principal applicant is the applicant is the person who is seeking the permanent residence. Sponsor is the person who is who's supporting you for this application. So sponsor could be a permanent resident or a Canadian citizen. A principal applicant could be inside Canada, outside Canada. Okay, so this is where, and you see, so many applications are returned because of incomplete forms. So many applications are returned because of missing signature. So many applications are returned because of missing photo specifications. So they all come to us asking for help, and this is where we tell them, had you come to us earlier, you could have saved about 3-4 months of your time. And then again, I would use the word relationship stress. The applicant back home doesn't know how difficult the application is.
Wow, so you mean to say such small details also matter? The photo
Yes.
size also.
Yes, exactly. This is where we check the application multiple times. We have certain quality assurance and we check the application multiple times before it is sent out, so that we don't want to face the big envelope coming back to our office. We don't like that anyway. So we don't want to do that, because straight away what happens is 3 months after, if you don't get a file number, a big envelope comes back to you. Oh, this is with a yellow paper to it from the immigration department saying this is what you missed out, and this is what is further required. And by the time the forms have to be redone, because usually the forms have been updated.
Okay, and what if we have applicants who've already done all the paperwork and they come to our office to review it? Do we do such a service where we review the application?
To be honest, we don't prefer that. But if in certain criteria where we see for us, the genuineness of the relationship is there, we are willing to review it for a certain cost. Which is obviously usually not cheaper than the way we do the regular file, because for reviewing us is kind of same work for us too, because we have to take care of everything, and we may have to redo some of the forms again. So for us, a review application may not be, because people think that review application can be cheaper than doing the whole application. For us, doing the whole application from the onset is easier and more organized than taking somebody's prepared application and then redoing it then.
That is absolutely so true. I think a lot of people don't realize that along with reviewing, there is so much more responsibility. You have to go through each and every line and make sure that they have filled it correctly. So I think it could be more work than actually just taking a small review.
Yes.
That's absolutely true. So sorry, did I interrupt you?
No, that's okay. No, please go ahead.
I was actually going to speak about our organization. In numerous videos, we've spoken about Northwest Immigration. We have a lot of Google reviews. We have client reviews as well. But just for the sake of this webinar, Nabil, would you be able to tell our viewers why they should contact Northwest Immigration for their spousal applications?
Very simple. If you want to have a peace of mind, okay, if you want to have the professional guidance, and if you want to have a strong chance of getting your beloved into Canada as a PR as early as possible, then I think we are here to help you. Again, we cannot promise the processing time. The processing time is not under our control, but a strong application is under our control, that we submit our strong application and we go from there.
Thank you so much, Nabil. Thank you very much for this webinar. If I've left out anything, would you care to add something?
Okay, I think I have got certain points written over here. Okay, so we were discussing, I would just like to say a lot of young people, they are wanting to do a common law relationship. A common law relationship, as I said, is one of the trickiest and the most complex relationships of all. just by cohabitating 1 year together does not make you a common law. There is a lot of depth to common law. The Act and the regulation, Immigration Act and the regulations, they require a lot more than just cohabitating for 1 year. So common law, especially those people out there for applying for common law, I would say please seek professional guidance, because that could just give a lot of problem to your application. That's an A. So this is one thing. And then those people who have had previous relationships and previous, it could be a previous marriage, it could be previous relationship, it could be children from previous relationships. Those are again complex cases. Okay, those people who have a criminal backgrounds, they need to seek rehabilitation. Those need to be taken care of. So these are things that we have to work about. And then I think again, I said those spouses with dependent children from previous marriages, that's another question. That's another complexity in the case. So these are things that we have to take care of.
Okay, perfect, Nabeel. Thank you so much. Is there anything else that you would also like to add?
I mean, we do a lot of spousal. Under express entry, we do a lot of dependent spouses and children cases as well. Express entry is one of the main fortes of our organization as well. We do a lot of permanent residents under the express entry, and so this is where spousal is, again, it could be many pronged. It could be your spouse is also. You could come under express entry. We have done those as well, because sometimes what happens is spousal application is taking a long time, but an applicant qualifies for express entry because of her marriage to a Canadian. So we can bring them over here under the express entry stream as well. So it all depends on the applicant, how it goes,
Thank you so much. You actually just answered one of the questions by one of our viewers. So thank you so much for speaking about express entry and about spouses, bringing spouses and children.
Right.
Yes. So now our viewers, you all know where to find us. I'm also going to be putting our numbers in the chat so that you all can reach us. Please note that these numbers are not only limited to Canada, but if you reside in USA, you can still call us on our toll-free numbers, which I have put in the chat as well. You can also WhatsApp me. My number is in the chat, where I can book an appointment for you with Mr. Nabeel or Mr. Alex. You all should know that we're open from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., 6 days a week. Yes, our consultant, Mr. Nabeel, he doesn't take any days off. He mostly just takes sometimes just a Sunday off because he is so busy working on cases. So you can get in touch with us in person, in phone, or through video consultations.
Stacey, I have a question where somebody's sorry to just interrupt you there.
Yes.
Somebody's asking that for their brother, they're asking that is a PR and his wife is on the work permit in Canada. They are living together from last 1 year before marriage. What is the best process to go ahead with the sponsorship? So again, there are certain complexities to this case. We have to sit down and we have to work out with the client's brother, and this is where the initial consultation comes in. So people ask us, why do you charge for initial consultation? This is exactly why we charge for initial consultation, because an initial consultation meeting is a private meeting where we have to understand what is the case about. Can we do it? What can be done? And in the initial consultation meeting, there is always a way forward. We will suggest you a way forward, that this is a one way, this second way, this third way, whatever it is. And this is the pathway, and this is what the legal things would go from there onwards. So this is where initial consultation meeting, why we have a stress. We call it, Mr. Alex calls it a disclosure meeting, because we disclose, the client discloses to us and we disclose to them what is the way forward, and we agree upon a pathway and choose that pathway, which is known as scope of work. We decide, we inform the client the cost related to it, and we go from there onwards.
Perfect, Nabil. Now, since we are in the Q&A session, I do have a lot of questions for us, but let's just pick few questions that I can ask you. All right. So my fiance has a criminal record back 10 years ago in the US. Is there a way we can clean up his record with RCIC to apply for the spousal sponsorship? And they're also asking about applying for rehabilitation.
Yes, yes. So I was about to say that if they have a criminal record for since it's been since over 10 years, then the rehabilitation can be applied. But again, we have to find out that what kind of criminal case was it? Was it organized criminality, serious criminality? What was it? So there are a lot of again questions coming out of that, so that we can discuss with the client. And yes, most likely we can apply for a CRP and go from there onwards.
Okay, and is there a difference if a child is born in Canada versus overseas? Would there be an
Yes,
issue?
that's if a child is born in Canada, automatically that child is a Canadian citizen, and then you don't need to do anything. And actually, one of our clients, we were just processing their application. We are about to submit their application, and they had a baby born a few days ago. And so they were, oh, we have to do a PR for it. I said, he is already a born Canadian, so you don't need to do anything. And they were so relieved. Oh, yes. I said, obviously, he is a born Canadian. He'll get a Canadian passport, so you don't need to do anything for the child.
Perfect, perfect. And of course, there are a lot of questions about how much we charge. So is there a fixed charge that we do for spousal sponsorship applications, or is it different?
Again, you see, it depends on the scope of work. It depends whether it's your first marriage, you have previous relationships, you have any dependent children. Where are you coming from? So again, it has got. But again, I remind all my clients that we are very competitive as compared to most of the big name firms over there, and we are very very sincere with what we do.
Perfect. All right. Another question is, so there's a couple who've been living together from the last 1 year before marriage. What is the best process to go ahead with sponsorship, and do they need to?
Again, there are few questions that I may have to ask. So it's better that they seek initial consultation meeting, and we go from there onwards.
Okay, so for such cases, they need to speak to you. Then you can tell them the funds that are required, the best way to go, whether they should go for a spousal application or a different way. Is that right?
Correct. Obviously, yes.
Okay, perfect. I think we are done. Do you see any questions that you think you would like to answer, or are they repetitive?
No, I see there are a lot of questions coming up, but again, the thing is, anything, all our clients, we are always available. We are there for you to answer your calls, to answer something, and then we go from there. But again, each application, I would like to end my this webinar here, that each application is unique. Each application is complex. No two applications are the same. No two applications will take the same time. Even getting the file numbers could take up to 1 month, 2 months, 3 months to get the file numbers. So again, everything is separate for each application. So each application has to be taken care of. And some of my clients ask me, oh, you are too busy to take care of our application. I said, no, that's not the way. Each application will have its due time. It's not that we take 100 applications and then we don't have time to work on it. No, we take only so many applications that we can work upon, and we ensure that we give the quality assurance to that application. So that, and I know, I can tell you, my clients come in, when they sign the application, they review the application, except for a few typo here and there, 99.9% they don't find any mistake over there. All the information that they've provided, that the documents they've provided, they're all there as per the information given to us.
But Nabil, hats off to you as well. What I would like to add is that to all our viewers, actually, that Nabil is always available on his phone. Not just Nabil, all of us are always available and on standby. You can reach us through our office numbers, through WhatsApp, through our toll-free numbers, and we are available 6 days a week to answer all your questions. So if you do have a question, even if you think it is very silly, get in touch with us. We can always give you answers. And who knows? You may think that you're not eligible, but just by one consultation, you may actually be eligible. Your application could be done, and you may get your PR this year.
Yes, that's what we are here for, getting you the PR and getting you successful.
Perfect. If would you like to add anything else, Nabil, please do so.
That's all. Thank you, viewers, for joining us. It was a wonderful session. We tried to keep it with the time so that the Asian audience can join us, because they are ahead of time and they are ahead a few hours ahead of us. So and then the next webinar we are planning to do on work permits. So there, because again, work permits is a huge stream, and there are a variety of work permits in Canada going forward. So we are going to work on the next webinar, and we go from there.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Nabil, and thank you to all our viewers.
Yes. Thank you, viewers, and please don't forget to like our YouTube channel and follow us on social media. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Perfect.
Have a great weekend.
I know. Weekend.
Yes, it's a long weekend. Everybody enjoy and have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.